Hello and welcome to the shop. I have the theme of organization on my mind, and today I was gluing up a blank and I ended up running all over the shop. I was over at my table grabbing tape and sandpaper and epoxy. I was in my cabinet over here grabbing matchsticks that I used to mix the epoxy. I was back at my metal lathe because there's a shelf above it where I had my pin insertion tool. All those things are scattered around the shop, and it just seems silly to have to run all over the shop and gather those things up every time because I usually do my glue ups here at the table saw. So I went ahead and gathered everything up. It is sitting in a pile on the table saw, and I've been doing some drawings, just kind of scribbling, getting some ideas for making a little container that I can put all of that in so that it's always together. I simply grab that container and I'm ready to do glue ups anywhere. It can be at the table saw, it can be over here, it can be back at the lathe table, it doesn't matter. I have to pick one thing up and I'm ready to go. So this doesn't have to be pretty, it just needs to be functional. Let's see what we can come up with. Here are the items I was referring to. This is exactly what I need to perform every single glue up that I do. I've got all of my pieces cut and I just have them laying here. Nothing is glued together. If you touch this, it's going to fall. But you can see I have a spot for my tape on the side. I've got my Play-Doh and my epoxy on this side. There's a little box right here where I can drop my pin insertion tool into. And if I tip you forward a little bit, you'll see my matchbook back here for my mixing sticks. This is going to work great. What needs to happen before I glue this up, I want to put a hole in here where I can grab it and lift it. And then I think I'm going to round over some of the corners. Probably not these corners back here, but this corner and this corner, I'll round them over so they're not quite so sharp. I started my glue up with the two outside corners. Once the glue has set, we'll go ahead and glue the other two corners up, and at the same time we'll glue the bottom of the box into the frame. You can see I've gone ahead and cut a nice little handle and rounded over one edge of the board that goes down the center of our box, as well as rounding over the edge of the board that divides the tape from the epoxy. And then I lightly sanded the edges of these two pieces, which are the dividers for my pin insertion tool. Here's a quick shot of the finished glue up caddy. I'm really happy with how it turned out. Let's go ahead and load it up. And that is everything that I need to do a pin glue up in one handy little carry-all. I'd really like to thank you for joining me in the shop today. This is not a traditional video. I didn't take measurements. I didn't show the cuts. I didn't explain the build, simply because this is a very custom carrier for me. What I wanted to do was basically show you my idea in hopes that you would take that and develop one for your shop that is unique to your shop, because each and every one of us is a little different in how we do things, and that's good. But this carrier works great for me. I've got my little piece of sandpaper for roughing tubes. I've got my matchsticks here that I use for mixing, pin insertion tool. I've got my tape that I put down on my tabletop so that I can mix the epoxy. Both my epoxy resin and my catalyst are right here. And I've got my Play-Doh for basically plugging my tubes. And this can go with me to any surface that I wish to do glue ups on. I hope you look at this caddy. I hope you get some ideas. This is just scrap cedar left over from my Adirondack chairs. So there's nothing here but a little bit of glue and a little bit of time, and you can very easily build something like this in your shop. Please don't send me requests for plans. I didn't do any plans. I did a quick little scribble sketch on a piece of paper. It doesn't even have measurements on it. It just was so that I could visualize what I wanted to do. There are no measurements, there are no plans, and I will not be sending plans out for this. This is just basically an inspirational video for you to see this and hopefully inspire you to make something similar for your shop. I'd like to thank you for joining the shop today. I want you to know that you are always welcome in my shop. Come back and see me again real soon. Have a great evening, and let's get organized.